This volume right here is absolute greatness. It was brilliantly written. The contrast from the different scenes that occurred from the very beginning to the very end were fucking beautiful. You know, basically we have full action at the very beginning of this volume, and then at the end we get to learn more about Serpico and Farnese's backstory, which is what I wanted to see from the very beginning. Since we actually were introduced to those characters. So, obviously, I love this volume so much. Uh, the irony of Guts saying, ever since he's seen Griffith in that form again, he lost the urge to kill. And then when they return back, we see Godo's dead, and Erica says there's an old friend of Rickard's there with long silver hair. And I was like, dude, how ironic and how coincidental that Guts just got done saying that. And then we transition over to seeing that Griffith is there waiting for Guts among a hill of swords. And once again, it's snowing, just like the time Guts left the Band of the Hawk for the first time. So much symbolism, so much. It's just crazy how this dude is writing. Kentaro Miura writes this story. It's like a parallel to when he left the Band of the Hawk the first time. And Guts even says that. But we see Griffith, nothing has changed, she says, even though he did all those horrendous things during the eclipse. Nothing has changed. He still wants a kingdom. But, I was right, basically. I hate to say it. I knew he was still going to want a kingdom. And I knew that that child of Guts and Casca's is part of Griffith's vessel. And apparently, it's making him feel some emotions for Casca and Guts after seeing them. And he basically says it's because that child's part of his vessel. But I wonder if that's completely true. I wonder if Griffith is actually still not cold. He's not as cold-hearted as he thinks. He says his blood is supposed to be frozen, almost like he forgo all emotions that he had when he was a human. So I do want to see if it really is the child making him feel these feelings, or if it's him in the end, and he actually didn't completely turn into a demon, into a god hand. But then we see Guts try to attack him. Rickard's trying to stop him because Rickard don't know the truth, and that's another thing. When Griffith tells Rickard, once you learn the truth, and if you don't hate me and you still want to follow this dream, come find me and I can't refuse you. I'm like, so is Rickard going to learn about the truth? And then Guts tells him, and I'm like, there's no way Rickard's going to want to go along with Griffith. He's going to want revenge or want to try to help Guts. And that's what he wants to do. He feels horrible because he was ignorant to the truth while Guts was carrying this burden. But Guts did it to protect Rickard, obviously. And once again, I love when he tries to go with Guts and Guts says no. And Godo's preachings are brought up once again because I love that character so much. He's so wise. He basically is, don't abandon the things that are irreplaceable to you, aka Erica. And Guts learned this, and he no longer wants to abandon Casca. That's why Casca is going with him. And we learn that they're going to go to Puck's homeland, the fairy homeland, I guess, because they'll be protected. So now they're on the journey to go there. Meanwhile, Griffith leaves after Guts has a battle with Zod. And this is another thing. Zod and Guts, this is their first battle since their first one, the Golden Age arc. And Guts actually holds his own, and Zod is surprised, but then he has to transform. But then they leave. There's a scene where Griffith holds Casca. That's when, his heart throbs a little bit. I wonder if this child, if he is part of Griffith's vessel, if he is Griffith's heart, because it kept throbbing, like he felt like a heart throb. So that'd be interesting to see exactly what the relationship is between this child and Griffith sometime down the road. But after he leaves, then we see that the Kushan army is attacking Midland. They went through 6 fortresses. We got to learn a little bit more about that one dude that fought Guts back in the Golden Age arc. Learned about his clan, why it got dethroned, because they tried pledging themselves to the royalty that was dethroned back during the Secession War. So it was cool seeing their backstory a little bit as well. But what really surprised me, and not really surprised me, I had a feeling this was going to happen, but it was like captivating basically, is when Griffith shows up. And I knew he was doing this. Once again, I was right, that he was putting the image of the Hawk of Light in people's minds, because they know the Hawk is synonymous with Griffith. And when he shows up, people are like, it's Griffith, it's the Hawk of Light, he's come to save us. And then meanwhile, Zod comes out and starts bursting through these Kushan soldiers. And then another dude shows up and he says, I followed the oracle. It told me to come to you. Are you the Hawk of Light? I pledge my loyalty to you. This dude, the Moonlight Knight Locust, which Griffith knew who he was. Dude's a badass, has a long-ass lance and goes through people's skulls. Then another guy shows up who was apparently an exile of the Kushan army. Kushan Kingdom. This guy named Roxas, who is cloaked in armor, and cloaked in a robe, and he tells Griffith, "You're beautiful. I want to add your head to my collection. But until then, nobody will harm you." So he pledges loyalty to Griffith. Then another dude shows up who looks like a big-ass dude with a Naga serpent-type flamethrower, which reminded me of Guts a little bit. If Guts was turned into an apostle, that'd be who he would kind of be like, I feel. And that's another thing. I wonder if these people are all apostles, because Zod is one, so why wouldn't these other people be apostles? And now Griffith is forming a new Band of the Hawk from the dark side rather than the light side of humanity. It's absolutely crazy. And the damage they were doing to these dudes. They annihilated them. 4 people. Not even 4. Just Zod, Locust. Yeah, 4 people. Raxus and the big armor guy. 4 of them annihilating that whole army, making them flee. It was breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking. But, obviously nothing has changed. He wants a kingdom still, so he's probably going to try to take over the Midland Kingdom. And the new arc is called the Hawk of the Millennium Empire. So he's probably going to make something called the Millennium Empire. And this is the Holy Evil War chapter, which makes sense because Griffith is evil, but he's holy in a way. Just craziness. Fucking absolutely nuts. Meanwhile, we get introduced to a new character named Shirk, who apparently has a fairy. And this kid can go into the astral plane, so they look like they're a mage or something. And this person instantly realizes that the angel, Griffith, is actually the Hawk of Darkness, and they're going to bring about an Age of Darkness. So I have a feeling this person is going to run into Guts at some point and try to help Guts go against Griffith because they don't want the world plummeting into darkness. Meanwhile, Guts and Casca and Puck are heading to Puck's homeland so they can make sure Casca's safe. But where's Isidro? Where's this kid at? Is he following Guts right now? What is he doing? I want to see more Isidro. And then we transition to Farnese and Serpico, and we learn a little bit about their backstory, which I wanted from since we met those characters. We learned that Serpico is indeed a bastard of royalty. He was the father of Farnese is the father of Serpico. And Serpico coincidentally gets saved by Farnese. It becomes her servant. The mother's happy. And then in the midst of things, the father and the mother always leave Farnese behind. So she's alone, just like Serpico was alone. And I like that they kind of implied that they were cut from the same cloth. They were always alone. That's why Farnese rescued him. I thought that was very cool. And it makes sense, too, that coincidentally that they're actually half-brother and half-sister. And apparently Lord Vandemion has 3 other children out of marriage that are half-brothers of Serpico, and they're trying to vie for the power. So he tells Serpico not to tell anybody that he is a Vandemion, and he'll escalate him to the role of nobility, which is going to save him from his life of poverty. But then we see just how much of a menace Farnese is, which made me feel for Farnese. I understand why the way she is now. She was always left alone by herself. She was lashing out to get attention, to be alone. She always seen these heretics burning at the stake outside of her room, so she got infatuated with it, and she ends up burning down her mansion at one point. And we've seen that she had her own crematory, burning animals and whatnot to the Holy See, basically. And I was like, dude, this is insane. This girl is brainwashed from such a young age to believe that this God is going to save her. So I did start to feel for those 2 characters a lot more. We got to see Serpico, how he honed his skills because he had to do duels all the time to protect his honor and to protect Farnese's honor during balls, because she would always deny, invitations to dance and whatnot. But then at the very end, after she burns her mansion down, she gets sent to that monastery, and then all the heretics start happening. And Serpico's mother goes to a sanitarium, a den of evil, as they called it. And he sees his mother at the stake. And never in a million years did I think that Serpico was the one that burned his mother at the stake, after we learned that when he was talking to Jerome in the 1 volume. To prove his innocence, because a whole family would be put to trial, if one member was turned out to be a heretic, he had to burn his mother at the stake to prove to Farnese that she is his one and only. I feel so bad for this character, man. And at one point, though, he actually feels like he wants to do it because he thought that the mother was trying to take revenge for him after all these years or whatever, for, being a bastard and everything. I was like, what the fuck? Just tragic. Guts has a tragic upbringing, a tragic backstory, but these 2 characters, in their own sense, have tragic upbringings and a tragic past, because Yeah, they both were in nobility and whatnot, but they were left alone. They were never really accepted by anybody. The father would always, easily, politely dismiss Serpico and Farnese. So you can feel for these characters, and I truly did. And then having to see Serpico burn his mother at the stake, I was like, what the fuck? Craziness. And that's how the volume ends, with Serpico and Farnese standing there, ready to throw the torch at Serpico's mother. Craziness. And at one point, too, Farnese apparently started to have feelings for Serpico, but that disappeared once they went off to the monastery. It just became a mistress-servant relationship at that point, which is good because they are half-brother and half-sister, but it really isn't that uncommon for siblings and cousins and stuff to marriage back in that time, in the medieval type of times. So maybe they're going to eventually fall for each other, I don't know. But right now they're going after Guts for whatever reason. And I like the fact that the chapter was entitled something about snow and flame, which I really did enjoy that, of snow and flame. The flames representing, burning at the stake, and the snow being that snow was like falling during these periods. It just was very poetic in a sense. So I really did enjoy this volume of Berserk. Probably one of my favorite volumes so far. The cover's awesome. The reunion between Guts and Griffith was amazing. Rickert learning the truth was awesome. I'm so glad the character knows about it now, and hopefully he will develop into it'll have a role in his development. Seeing that new character Shirk was interesting as well, and seeing that she has a fairy as well. Griffith building a new band of the Hawk out of, I'm assuming, apostles. Now he's moving one step forward and getting his own kingdom, which is probably the Midland Kingdom, but he's going to turn it into the Millennium Empire. Just all this stuff is moving forward, and I have a feeling this arc is going to be absolutely amazing because Guts is still probably going to go after Griffith after he brings Casca to the fairy homeland. So I want to see exactly what is going to go down. Just an absolutely brilliantly written volume of Berserk. It just, I don't know what it is. It just had this charm about it and this atmosphere and the contrast between learning Serpico and Farnese's past and then, the bloodshed happening with Griffith and his new band of the Hawk. Meanwhile, Griffith is doing this, and meanwhile, Guts is going off on his own journey. Serpico and Farnese are following him, and we don't know where Isidro is. It's just amazing, amazing. And I want to see the role that this child is going to have in Griffith's vessel because it's part of his vessel now. I want to see if it's going to stop Griffith from doing certain things because it's going to give him emotions. But let me know your thoughts on this volume, guys. Like the video if you feel I deserve it. Leave your comments in the comment section below. I want to discuss this with you, but please, no spoilers. Do not give me any spoilers. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I would greatly appreciate it. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next Berserk review.